Hey, it's Mike with Tech BB, and today we're going to talk about the Smart Parts SP-1. Now, remember back a few, probably what, 6, 7, 8 months ago, we did the Vibe review, and everybody was going crazy asking me to do an SP-1 review. So we got an SP-1 here, and from you guys that have seen in the Woods Ball videos, I've been using the SP-1 a lot. At first I started out just using it to test it out, and then I actually kind of fell in love with the gun, okay? I'm going to start the video off by saying that I'm going to give the SP-1 the Tech PB Award for the Woods Ball Gun of the Year. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, what about the MTAC? Okay, well, yeah, the MTAC is absolutely amazing, okay? It's a godlike gun, but it's also $1,000. For most people that are playing in the Woods Ball in the scenario, they're looking for a gun with the most amount of performance between that $250 to $400 range. And from what I've seen, the SP-1 beats the other two guns that are out there, including the Tippmann A5 or the Tippmann X7 and also the BT TM7, okay? You see me, I've reviewed both of those guns. I know about those guns a lot. From my opinion, from shooting all of those guns, the SP-1 has got them both licked. So people are going to be like, that's impossible. How can you just go out there and throw out there that you think it beats the TM7? Well, I got some notes here, and I'm going to go through some of the things about the SP-1 that I liked a little bit better than the TM7. The TM7 was a good gun. It shot, it shoots paint just like it should. It functions just fine. But let's talk about what I liked about the SP-1 over the TM7. Probably the biggest thing that turned me on to the SP-1 over the TM7 was the trigger. The SP-1 trigger just feels great. It is a very good feeling trigger. I know with the TM7 you get the multiple ways you can adjust it and this, that, and the other, but if you feel an SP-1 trigger, it is just a very good feeling trigger. It's very light, very snappy, very little side to side movement. The TM7 trigger just felt awful to me. It felt very spongy, and but the SP-1, I really liked the trigger. The other thing that I liked that the SP-1 has that the TM7 I felt was lacking was in the feed neck. The feed neck on the TM7, the way how it slid down the weaver rail, as you were running through the woods, you could feel it sway. Now, it never affected its performance, you know what I mean? I never got any jams off it or anything like that, but I like the center feed neck. I know a lot of people prefer to sight down the sight rail. For the most part, after you've been playing paintball for a little while, you're going to get into the habit of leaning your loader and trying to hide it behind the tree. If you're trying to look down the sight rail, well, your loader's sitting right there and it's easy for them to hit. If you lean it behind the tree, it's less likely to hit. I like center feed guns. I think they're more practical. I think they work better in the woods, because you're not always going to be playing in a perfect position where you've got a tree to hide your loader behind. Being able to tilt your loader and just have it down the center of the gun, in my opinion, is a better way to go. Something else too, the low force bolt on the SP-1, okay? The stock SP-1, and the SP-1 I have here is actually an SP-1 Blackheart. The stock SP-1 has a low force bolt, okay? You guys have seen people sticking their tongues in the breeches in here, okay? The guns just don't chop paint. They just don't chop paint. Okay, I mean, obviously you get a ball in there that's broken already, it's going to blow it out the barrel, but the SP-1 and the Vibe, they just don't break paint. I mean, the mechanical low force bolt works. If you've ever stuck your finger down the breech of a Mini or a TM7, it hurts like hell. Your finger is going to be pulsing, it's going to be numb for a little while. The low force bolt in the SP-1, from my experience, has broken significantly less paint. As a matter of fact, I can't remember the last time I broke a ball with my SP-1 Blackheart. So that's another thing, and probably the biggest thing out of all of it, the SP-1 is quieter. Spool valve gun, it's not a poppet like the TM7. The SP-1 is a little bit quieter, and that does make a difference when you're in the woods, because the louder gun you have, the easier it is to pick it out. So what did I like over the A5 or the X7? Well, this one was pretty easy, and I'm just going to pick on this. I like A5s, I like X7s. They're great guns, and Tippmann did a great job on helping us out with Borg. It's an awesome company. The biggest reason that I like the SP-1 over the A5 or the X7 is the regulator. Okay, pure and simple, it's the regulator. The regulator that comes on an SP-1 is the same regulator that they have on the Lux. Okay, that $1,500 gun, this is the same regulator, and it's the same regulator on the Vibe. So I got a Vibe here, okay? The internals of the SP-1 and the Vibe is the same regulator that you will find on the Lux. It looks almost the exact same parts. Everything is almost identical. It's the same in operation. It's the same how you adjust it. That is why I like the SP-1 over the A5 or the X7. Regulated air always works better than unregulated air. So you're going to get a more consistent shot. You're going to get a quieter shot because instead of your gun cycling at 700 PSI, it's operating at about 200 PSI. But I found that regulated guns always work better than unregulated guns. So that's why this gun, in my opinion, is the best woods ball gun that is on the market right now. People that are looking for that mil-sim look, this gun is the perfect balance between kind of going into the mil-sim direction, kind of going into the military look, but also has amazing performance. So, now that we got that out there, and I've already sent, you guys want to know what exactly is the TechPB award? Well, it's basically the monkey. This is what we ship to them. We put TechPB on the cape. I've already given this to Sean, so I don't have to worry about Sean not getting his monkey. I actually gave it to him at Living Legends. So there you go, Sean. That's your award, your TechPB award for the SP-1 for the Woods Ball Gun of the Year. So let's talk about the weight, okay? I'm going to go ahead and put it on the scale here. And let's go ahead and weigh it. Okay, this gun weighs in at 2 pounds, 15.6 ounces. So let's see if we can zoom in here, because this is the internet, and no one believes me. So as you can see what the weight is, and let's go ahead and turn it on. Prove everybody there's a battery in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see that little green dot. But if not, maybe you can look down the eyes here. Oh yeah, that's nice and bright. So you can see the eyes that are on. So not that heavy of a gun. You know, 2 pounds, just under 3 pounds. It's not that heavy of a gun. The thing I like about the SP-1 is that it's a little more spread apart in that the grip frame is a little bit, and the regulator is spread out a little bit. It allows you to center the gun, you know, when you're running with it. It just has an amazingly balanced feel to it. It's an awesome feeling gun. You know, we talked about the triggers. Let's talk about the solenoid. That's a big point here. I asked Smart Parts about the solenoid. Obviously the ion, you know, a lot of people had some problems with the solenoids leaking, and I'm like, what makes you guys so confident in the solenoids that you're putting in the SP-1 and the Vibe? Because they're different. And the biggest difference is I believe they were going overseas to make their solenoids. I believe China was making their solenoids, and now their solenoids are made here in the US. They learned from the mistakes of the ion, and the solenoid that is in the SP-1 and in the Vibe is a much better solenoid than that was in the ion. So that's why you see them, they're throwing these guns underwater. They're, you know, they just don't have the problems that the ions have. Also, they improved the barbs on the inside. That's a major thing. They went from those piece of shit plastic barbs, they went to the real, they're like stainless steel barbs on the inside, so you don't get the leaking that you did with the ion. And let's talk about, we're going to talk about the SP-1, but I want to focus on, if you're going to get an SP-1, okay, just spend, you know, take whatever you got in your gear bag, something, sell it and spend the extra money and get the Blackheart, okay? The Blackheart board, basically what it is, the SP-1, the standard SP-1 is you just get the low force bolt. There's no eyes in there, okay? It's 170 bucks. There's no eyes in there. Low force bolt works. It's a mechanical way of not chopping paint, and it does work. You will very rarely break paint with the stock SP-1. But if you get the SP-1 with the Blackheart, now you're getting 2 different ways to prevent barrel breaks. And this is huge, especially when you're playing in scenario games where you've got to walk 3 miles to get to your insurgent, you know, to your insertion point, and then you've got to walk 2 miles to get to your firefight. The last thing you want at a scenario game is to break paint. The SP-1 gives you 2 different advantages to not break paint. One, you have the low force bolt, which hardly ever chops paint or breaks paint. Then on top of that, you also have the eyes, which is what 90% of the guns have. So you've got low force bolt plus eyes. You'll have a huge advantage when you're out there. And I can tell you this, I swear to God, I have almost never broken paint in my SP-1. I only broke paint one time, and it was shooting that Nanhai China ball stuff, and I think just the ball was broken before it ever got in there. And I have shot unbelievable amounts of paint on this gun. I've lent it out to friends. I've just given this to people. I've just, here, take it, you know. And this gun just never breaks paint. It's just weekend after weekend, nonstop shooting. Now, what are some of the advantages of the SP-1 Blackheart that obviously with the eyes, you know, that comes in handy. But one of the cool things I like about it, and I'm gonna have to zoom in here, okay, is you have an on-the-fly modes adjusting. Okay, you see the LED light right here. If you're out there and you're playing, you tap it, and you're going to go from semi-auto into 3-shot burst. Okay, and you can cap your rate of fire, whatever you want. And then if you tap it again, you're going to see it blink faster. That is the full auto mode. Tap it again, and you go back to semi-auto. And, you know, for instance, like when I was, you know, when we were playing the last scenario game that I played in, which was Living Legends, and I was completely by myself, and I knew I was about to get overrun. I had this thing in full auto, so when so as people were coming over the hill, I'm just in there shooting at them. The on the modes adjustment works great. There's only one little thing that I do have every once in a while, it happens with my SP-1, is sometimes I'll get a button stick. Not sure why I get that. It just happens every once in a while. Maybe it's because I've got gloves on and I'm shoving the button back through the thing. It is something you just got to watch out for. Maybe happens once every 10 times I use it. I'll look down and I'll see the button kind of stuck, and I'll just kind of flick it with my finger and it pops back out again. I'm not sure why. It's probably just pushing the button too hard. But I have seen that with the gun. Happens once every maybe 70 or 80 times that I push the button. Maybe Smart Parts will come out with a button that's a little bit longer, so that way that doesn't happen. But it is an issue that I have seen happen with it, so I want to bring it up. Now, what are we going to talk about next? Let's talk about upgrades to it, okay? You know, like I recommended, if you're going to get the SP-1, get it from Smart Parts and get the Blackheart board, okay? It comes with the laser eyes, as you can see in here, which is really cool. And I believe these are also the same laser eyes that they put in the bone stock Lux. I'm not sure, but I think they went with blue for a particular reason. But that's you know, I definitely recommend if you're gonna get the SP-1, get the Blackheart. So let's talk about upgrades. A cool tank that's gonna match it is obviously the Ninja. It's black. It looks great in the woods. The next thing we're gonna talk about, I got some accessories here from Trinity Paintball. Probably the #1 upgrade that I would recommend for an SP-1. The stock barrel is okay. It kind of looks like an Armson barrel. Actually, when I first looked at it, it looks like an Armson barrel with the porting that's on the tip. It's got pretty good porting. It's got a nice little barrel break at the end. But in my opinion, the best upgrade that you can get for your SP-1, especially in the woods, is the Apex barrel. This is the configuration that I use. I use 689 insert. It's a 16-inch tip with the Apex front, and this thing in the woods is so quiet, and so it's got so much range and is so accurate. I just absolutely love it. Having the extra barrel length helps me. I can stick it through brush when I'm out there playing. So say for instance there's a lot of vines or something like that, I can take the barrel and shove it through the brush. That's probably one of the most recommended upgrades, I would say. If you're gonna play woods ball, get an Apex barrel. Smart Parts sells, you can get an All-American tip with the Apex ready front. You're gonna have to go out and buy yourself an Apex tip. I don't know if they have them in stock or not, but you get them on eBay for like 30 bucks. But you get the 16-inch All-American Apex ready tip. It's a freak back, get the insert, and then get the 16-inch All-American front with the Apex tip. And you're gonna really be happy with this configuration in the woods. It's just, God, it just feels so good. Now, another popular upgrade, and I'm going to show you guys how to install this here in a few minutes, is the Maglite. Now when Sean Scott, when you saw his video, he says you can install a Maglite. Well, he didn't tell us what kind of Maglite, so I actually had to go to Walmart to figure out what Maglite it is. The Maglite that it is model number M2A01N. Is the model number, and the part number is 106-00-684. Basically what it is, it's the 2-cell AA flashlight, and I'll show you when we bring the camera in a little bit closer how to install this into the gun. Now another really cool barrel tip for this, and maybe you don't want to go with the Apex barrel, but we got some Trinity accessories here that are pretty cool. This is the Trinity Recon barrel with the suppressor, and I want to make sure I got the right name on this, because everybody's like, what's that barrel that you had that had the silencer on? Well, this is it. Here's how it works, okay? This looks like a normal barrel, but you can unscrew the tip here, and there's all your porting. So you've got the suppressor screwed over the barrel, unscrew it, and then there's all your porting. So, and it works. It definitely changes the sound signature. What it does is it deflects all of the air out the back. So you'll see there's little grooves cut into it. So as you're shooting it, it deflects the air and the sound back towards the shooter instead of forward. Kind of cool little barrel, and they sell these on the Trinity website. Like 45 bucks, so that's not too bad. That's a cool little barrel. And also, this not only doubles as a silencer, but also doubles as a rain hood. So if you're out there playing and it starts raining, you can just slip this on your gun. Another accessory. What stocks fit it? Trinity Paintball, again, makes a stock that fits the SP-1. It's a car stock. What you're going to do is you're going to remove the back plate on your SP-1. There's 2 screws. You take those same 2 screws and you install the back stock and put the screws right back in again. So, you know, if you're a fan of the remote line, what you can actually do is run your remote line straight to your regulator. You don't even have to run it to your ASA. You can run it right off of your regulator, go with the stock, and you're good to go. So, let's go ahead and bring the camera in. What else we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to maintain your bolt and how easy it is to take your bolt out. You know, all you got to do is unscrew the 2 screws, the big lug nut, out comes the bolt. I'll use a swab for that. And let's install the mag flashlight. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to take the bolt out. It's very simple, but one thing I want to cover really quick is the clamping feed neck. Clamping feed neck that you see on here is from Trinity Paintball also. I got pretty much all Trinity Paintball accessories, but as you see the clamping feed neck, put your loader on there, clamp it down, works really, really well. The only thing is when you install this, you may need to take your gun upside down and give it a little tap on the carpet floor in order to snap it down over the ridge before you tighten it down. But once it's on there, it works great, fits all the loaders. Cool little clamping feed neck. Now, let's start taking out the bolt. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to, instead of reinstalling this back plate, I'll actually just put the stock on there when we put it back together. Now, taking the bolt out is really simple. Okay. Sometimes helps a little bit, get a little swab, push out the back. There we go. So there's your bolt stop. Nothing to this. And then we're going to lube the gun up here. This lube I'm going to use today, it's a new lube from O-Ring Monkey called Monkey Poo. I swear to God, if you go to oringmonkey.com, you'll see it. I've never used it before, but you know, if there's a gun you want to test new stuff out, why not an SP-1? So let's lube up the bolt stop. Get that little hair off of there. There we go. And just clean out the inside here. Just put just a little extra on the back of that bolt. And slide it on. There we go. And let's tighten it up. There we go. And now let's go ahead and install the stock. And it's pretty easy, there's nothing to this. Pull the stock all the way back out. You want to put the round in at the bottom. I don't know, for some reason people always like it when I tie accessories into these shows. Because I'll do a show on the gun, like, can you tell me what upgrades I should get? Well, not that the gun really needs them, but you know, we'll put some toys on here and just for fun. Cool, so we got the stock installed. Now the next thing we're going to install is the flashlight. Like I said, it's just a basic 2-cell flashlight. I think you get them for about $7 or $8 at Walmart. Now let's go ahead and install this. Now first thing you're going to do is unscrew the 2 screws here that hold this little weaver rail next to the regulator. Now usually there's a little cork, a little piece of plastic, it's like a plastic cap that goes in this. I can't find mine. I had it on the gun originally. But when I took it off to put in the Maglite, I must have either put it in the box or left it on my toolkit or something like that. But it's not important. Anyway, once you take this apart, on the inside there's a pin. Okay, so now what you do is there's a screw that holds this shard over the regulator. Okay, what you're going to want to do is you loosen up the screw a little bit and then just twist it to the side. Now what you're going to see is you're going to see that little pin, and I'm going to have to get a different Allen key to get this pin out. And now the pin can be in one of two locations. It could be up front, okay, right here, or it can be here in the back. But you just unscrew this pin, and you're going to see on the flashlight where this pin goes. So we got the pin out. Let's set the gun aside for a second. Let's take out our Maglite. Let's put the batteries in. Now, this is more show than anything else, okay? If you actually do play a night game, you don't want to use a flashlight, okay? The reason why is when it's dark outside and they see that, they're going to shoot at you. So there's not really any function to really having a flashlight on there. I guess it could come in handy, but it's just more for show than anything else. Okay, now that you have it on there, what you're going to notice is on the back of the flashlight, there's a hole. This pin goes through that hole. Okay, so what you need to do is when you slide the flashlight into the gun, you need to make sure that the pin, that the hole lines up with the pin. Okay, and once you have the flashlight orientated, now what you're going to do is just go ahead and put the pin through that little side groove, or the little notch that's cut into the flashlight in the back. You're just going to tighten this down. And you don't have to torque this down, you just need to make it to where it's flush. Alright, out comes the Allen key. Now we just double check the flashlight. Nope, that's not coming out. Let's go ahead and twist the regulator. The regulator's got an indentation in it. There we go. There we go. Our flashlight's on the front of our gun. And we're good to go. There we go. So we'll take this back for the conclusion. Alright, so we got our SP-1 put together. Put a couple of accessories on here. We got the Trinity clamping feed neck. We've got the Trinity car stock. Put the Maglite on this thing. And what we also have on here is the Trinity Recon suppressor barrel. So, I mean, you know, you guys looking for, you know, mil-sim or whatever, I mean, that's a pretty good feeling gun right there. It's nice and light, nice and balanced. This is a really solid gun. You know, obviously my personal recommendation, I definitely say go with the Apex barrel if you're going to go with the SP-1. Now, if you may not have the money for the entire freak set, if you don't have the money for the entire freak set, which will probably run you about $120, go with at least the bone stock Apex. It's going to fit it. You're not going to have any problem getting it on there. But the bone stock Apex, obviously you got to take the flashlight out, but the bone stock Apex will stick out about that far. It's going to look like a short barrel. But the you know, at least get the Apex on the front of the gun. I definitely want, if you're going to get the SP-1, definitely get the Apex on the front of the gun. So that's about it for the SP-1 show. You know, if you're looking, people are going to ask you, well, where should I get it at? Well, call Smart Parts up. You can buy it directly from them. Smartparts.com. Tell them you want an SP-1 with the Apex, the 16-inch Apex freak back with the Blackheart board. They should be able to take care of you. I think that probably that whole package will probably run you just a little over $300 out the door. So hopefully this helps. Thanks for tuning in.